I think most people don't know this, but can you tell me, in terms of fraud, how Florida stands?
Number one in the country while I was an FBI agent, and I'm pretty sure it's the same today.
All kinds of fraud,
frauds,
right?
Investment fraud, healthcare fraud, identity theft, you name it. Every single fraud you can imagine, this was the epicenter. This state, the FBI office in Miami had about a third of the agent population of the New York FBI office, right? But there were years where we would have more indictments than they did.
Wow.
That's how rampant crime was in Florida, and especially South Florida.
What was one of your first cases once you came to Miami?
I was originally assigned to a squad, bank fraud, and that's extremely prevalent here. And it's street-level fraudsters. Some of them are gang members who just happen to engage in fraud. Sometimes they kill each other. Sometimes we had one woman who actually died trying to get away from us. She ran off of the side of a building and hit the ground. I mean, it was insane down here, especially back then. Yeah.
You know how many times I've been to Florida because...
You should just live here.
I know,
All
seriously.
your work is here.
Just filming traffic, I think every other episode there was some story. We would have to try and avoid coming to Florida because so many stories brought me back here.
I said I'm never coming back again. Next I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer.
What's happening? I'm still sick, but whatever. This video is going to be about crime in America. I looked up this thing and it says the 10 most dangerous states in America. Number 1, New Mexico. Number 2, Colorado. Number 3, Pennsylvania. Number 4, Nevada. Number 5, Tennessee. Number 6, Arkansas. Number 7, Oklahoma. Number 8, Washington. Number 9, South Carolina. Number 10, Louisiana. Now, what they're talking about now, that's just the dangerous, right? But a lot of stuff gets overlooked in America. And people have stereotypes of the craziest places in America because of the crack era and before the crack era, because a lot of cities, predominantly port cities, were the hubs for the drug trade. You know, Miami, New Orleans, New York, L.A. Then you had the thing like Chicago was a hub. You know, St. Louis. Where places where the rivers go, and but we don't talk about it enough. Like nowadays, it's different. People like to think about crime as just homicide, but as they talked about with the fraud, people have been knowing about the fraud in Florida for decades because the stereotype was you got old rich people from New York who move to Florida as they get older, so people basically was gonna scam them out of their money. You know, that's the healthcare, Medicare, and all that. That's all that fraud. And some of those people were participants in it; they weren't victims. And then you go to other states. We don't talk about like the trafficking going on from pretty much the border cities. You know, the borders from Texas all the way to California. A lot of trafficking going on. Then, y'all don't like to talk about, the legalized but illegal drug trade, where people are growing weed, let's just say in California, right? Or in other places in America that is legal to grow. And basically, it's like it's cartel land, basically. The government know about it. The cops know about it. Cops can't do nothing about it in those areas, but whatever. Then, the other thing about not even the trafficking, but the car thefts, those rings, like in and out of the United States. Sometimes you have people stealing cars and on board of towns, taking them to Mexico or whatever. And sometimes you got people stealing cars and putting them in shipping containers and shipping them all up, across the globe. Or, sometimes people find out that, every now and then the car you might have got from like Carvana or CarMax is actually a stolen car. But we don't talk about that a lot. Not to mention, um, the new drug trade, um, not just the Percocet, the opioid epidemic. How there used to be pill mills, right? And now y'all just getting pills from whoever, wherever, whoever making them, right? And you got certain cities like Chicago where you got just a bunch of young junkies. They just out here just give me a perk, like young junkies. Same thing, Texas. Um, and I don't know about Atlanta per se, but I'm guessing so. Um, but that's in a lot of different places though. But it's that prescription pill slash fentanyl market. You have that going on. The scamming market. Well, y'all see it, man. You know, you can't go to a gas station with somebody trying to rip your information or whatever, right? Uh, if I was y'all, I wouldn't be putting my financial information on my quote unquote iPhone or iWatch. I wouldn't be doing it if I was y'all. Just honestly. Um, because that's all people going, they trying to tap your life away or get your information that way. But people don't talk about how prevalent fraud and theft are like that, right? And the reason I'm talking about it is because a lot of the times, whether it be violent, financial, violent or non-violent crime, you know, I've noticed that there doesn't look like there's a stigma on it. Oh, they stealing cars over there, and a lot of times people, the crime kind of looks racialized. Like, if you think about massage parlor, cops ain't really checking for that. If it's a car theft ring, cops ain't really checking for that. You know what I'm saying? If every now and then, if it's just like somebody cooking meth in the neighborhood, every now and then they on that, but not so much. If it's a fraud ring, it's for somebody, it's just hard to decipher, right? But it's victim after victim, and going back to the beginning of this when they were talking about the people in Florida, the older you get, the more scam calls you get, and it's a lot of healthcare, Medicare, Medicaid fraud going on. It's a lot of people calling you. You know, I get Indian people calling me every freaking day. You know what I mean? And then you have other type of fraud with these companies. Uh, how can I say this? These companies want access to your home to act like they're doing you a favor, but really they're just looking to um, break stuff so they could charge you to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Or case your house, basically. Then you got the I'm gonna buy your house hustlers, right? Let me buy. I'm like, huh, bro? How many times I gotta tell you no? You know, but these people are allowed to stay in business and continuously be in what they consider business because I don't know why, but scamming people, whether it be Medicaid. Because I remember there was a thing when people was like, um, people scam you saying you got warrants. People scam you saying, oh, you owe the IRS money. Somebody stole your social security number, give me your social security number to protect you. It's all kinds of stuff, right? And a lot of times people just don't talk about the other crimes. They just don't like, mm. And to me, it's like there's no criminally, there's no black boogeyman equivalent. So all these other, whether they're white, whether they're Asian, whether they're Hispanic, the amount of stuff they get away with is just through the roof. Because it's like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And unfortunately, this shit becomes a huge deal because these are the crimes that keep growing and growing and growing. I say car theft is going less and less and less. But because people can't necessarily afford to be buying cars, and they got all the security stuff involved in it. But I've seen people more so try to do fraud in the sense of they gonna wreck the car on purpose. So oh, you gotta be covered. That try to get insurance fraud going. But when you like closer to them border towns, oh, they snatch your joint, it's gone. You might well just it's gone. You know, I got a track on it. Yeah, your tracker gonna be in another country. But I just wanted to talk about that because at the end of the day, man, people aren't actually being completely honest about all the stuff that's going on, and people are committing crimes in your face. Before I go, that's the whole thing about the Epstein thing. There's not gonna be nobody's gonna go to jail for that. You can have 3 million, 3.5 million pages, and we knew all this information but who's gonna go to jail? They don't care. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. But that's my 2 cents. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.